Tonight, the sea is steady, not completely still, but steady enough that the ship moves without strain. The sails are filled just enough to guide the vessel forward. The ropes remain taut but calm. The deck creaks softly under the slow rhythm of motion. At the stern of the ship stands an older pirate. He does not stand there out of duty. Another man keeps the official watch tonight. He stands there because sleep has become lighter with age, and the sea feels different now than it once did. The moon hangs low above the water, casting a long silver reflection that stretches outward and dissolves behind the ship's wake. The ocean glows faintly where light touches it, then returns to darkness a few feet beyond. The crew rests across the deck. Some lie wrapped in blankets near the mast. Others lean against coiled rope or wooden barrels. Their breathing rises and falls in slow patterns, almost in time with the gentle lift and fall of the hull. The older pirate rests his hands along the railing. The wood is worn smooth in some places, splintered in others. Salt has left faint white lines in the grain. His fingers trace those marks absent-mindedly. He remembers when this ship was new. The boards were brighter. The ropes were stiff. The sails snapped loudly in strong wind. Now everything feels softened by years. Tomorrow the ship will reach a harbor by midday. A modest harbor. Not famous. Not crowded. He will step off the deck and not return. The decision was not dramatic. No argument, no injury, no betrayal. He simply woke one morning some weeks ago and realized that the sea no longer pulled at him the way it once had. Adventure had become repetition. Risk had become routine. The horizon had begun to feel smaller. A light breeze brushes across the deck, stirring loose strands of rope. The sails respond with a low, patient sigh. The older pirate walks slowly along the length of the ship. Each plank beneath his boots produces a familiar sound. He knows which boards bend slightly. He knows which spots collect water after rain. He knows where to step quietly. He pauses near the main mast. A lantern burns there, its flame small and controlled. The glass is faintly fogged with soot. The light casts warm shadows that sway gently with the ship's movement. He watches the flame for a moment, steady, reliable, like the ship itself. Below deck, a kettle shifts faintly as the hull moves through water. The sound is hollow but soft, blending with the ocean's quiet rhythm. He descends the narrow stairs. The air below is warmer. It carries the scent of rope fiber, damp wood, iron, and old canvas. His sleeping space lies near the far wall. A folded blanket, a wooden crate, a small box tucked carefully beneath it. He sits on the crate and pulls the box forward. Inside are only a few items. A coin from a distant port, worn smooth from years of being handled. A small whetstone. A strip of faded fabric taken long ago from a marketplace near the southern coast, and a simple metal compass that no longer points perfectly north. He lifts the compass. The needle trembles slightly with the ship's motion. He remembers navigating by stars when he was young, standing at the bow with a clear sky above and the captain beside him, listening carefully to instruction. Back then, the sea had felt endless. Every voyage felt like discovery. Now he has seen enough horizons to know that they are all the same. He closes the box gently and slides it back into place. Above deck, someone turns in sleep and exhales deeply. He climbs back into the night air. The moon has shifted higher now. The silver path across the water has grown narrower, more concentrated. He walks toward the bow and leans slightly over the railing. The water below appears black at first glance, But when he looks carefully, he sees faint ripples reflecting scattered light. The ship leaves a soft trail behind it, a pale disturbance that slowly fades. No matter how far a vessel travels, its wake disappears quickly. Distance leaves no visible scar upon the sea. He removes his hat and runs a hand through his hair. The breeze is cooler now. Somewhere in the distance a gull cries once before falling silent. The older pirate closes his eyes and listens. Water brushing the hull, rope shifting slightly, sails murmuring overhead. These sounds have followed him for decades. Storms have shaken this deck. Cannons have thundered across this water. Men have shouted commands into violent wind. But tonight, none of that remains, only calm. He walks toward the stern once more and lowers himself carefully onto a wooden barrel. From here he can see nearly the entire deck, the sleeping crew, the lantern glow, the quiet mast. He wonders which of them will leave next. Few pirates remain at sea forever. Some are claimed by storms, some by illness, some by misfortune. A rare few step away willingly. He is one of those rare few, not because he fears the sea, but because he no longer needs it. He imagines the harbor they will reach tomorrow. Small houses along the shoreline, fishing boats tied gently to posts, wooden docks creaking softly in morning light. He imagines stepping down from the gangplank, feeling the ground beneath his boots, unmoving. He imagines waking without the sound of waves. Perhaps he will miss it, perhaps not. The lantern flickers briefly as a slightly stronger gust crosses the deck. The flame steadies again. The sails loosen slightly as the wind shifts direction. The helmsman, half awake, adjusts the wheel just enough to maintain course. The ocean remains calm. The older pirate rises once more and places his palm flat against the mast. He feels the vibration traveling through the wood. The ship is alive in its own way. Wood, rope, canvas, iron, bound together by purpose. Tomorrow night, he will not feel this vibration beneath his hand. Tomorrow night, the ship will continue without him. He steps toward the stern railing one final time. The wake glows faintly behind them. The moonlight trembles across the water's surface. He nods slightly toward the horizon, not in farewell, not in sorrow, simply acknowledgement. The sea does not belong to him, and he does not belong to it. They have shared many years together. That is enough. The breeze softens. The deck quiets further. The lantern burns lower. Around him the crew breathes slowly, unaware that this quiet night marks the end of one man's long journey at sea. The ship sails on, steady, patient, unconcerned with who steps aboard or steps away. Above, the stars remain fixed in their distant patterns. Below, the ocean moves with endless calm, and the older pirate stands for a final moment beneath the night sky, listening to the familiar language of water and wind, before allowing himself at last to rest. The night does not end abruptly. It thins very slowly. The older pirate remains at the stern long after he had meant to sit only a moment. Time loses its usual shape beneath the moonlight. Minutes stretch without urgency. The sea continues its steady breathing beneath the hull. Somewhere near the horizon, the darkness begins to soften. Not into color yet, just into a lighter shade of blue. He notices it before anyone else does. The stars nearest the water begin to fade first, swallowed gently by the approaching dawn. Those higher above remain, but their brightness weakens. The air shifts. It is no longer the cool depth of midnight. It carries the faint suggestion of morning, a subtle warmth waiting just beyond the horizon. A sailor near the mast stirs and turns onto his side. His blanket slips slightly from his shoulder before he pulls it back without fully waking. The older pirate walks slowly across the deck one more time. He pauses beside the coiled ropes, beside the lantern that now burns lower than before. He adjusts the glass slightly, shielding the flame from a soft breeze. He moves carefully, as though memorizing each step. At the bow, he leans forward and watches the water part around the hull. In the growing light, the surface becomes more visible, gentle ripples forming pale lines against the dark sea. He remembers another morning many years ago, a morning after a storm. The sky had cleared suddenly, revealing sunlight so bright it hurt his eyes. The deck had been soaked, the sails torn, the crew silent from exhaustion. But this morning is not like that. This morning is quiet, measured, peaceful. The horizon now separates clearly from the water. A thin line of muted gold appears far ahead. The ship continues forward without hesitation. He hears the faint movement of the helmsman adjusting his stance. Another sailor yawns softly. The world aboard the vessel begins to wake in small human sounds. Wood creaks more frequently now as men shift their weight. A rope tightens briefly, then settles. The older pirate removes his hat and runs his thumb along its worn edge. The fabric has faded from years beneath sun and rain. He brushes a bit of dust from its brim. Soon this hat will no longer shield him from salt wind. Soon he will wake to quieter mornings. The golden line at the horizon grows wider. Clouds gather low, catching the first light and turning pale pink before fading into soft orange. The sea reflects this change slowly. What had been silver beneath the moon becomes muted blue beneath the rising sun. The lantern near the mast flickers one final time. He walks toward it and gently extinguishes the flame. The need for artificial light has passed. The crew begins to rise fully now. One man stretches his arms overhead. Another rubs his eyes. A third stands and walks to the railing to examine the distant glow. No one speaks loudly. Mornings at sea rarely begin with noise. The older pirate steps aside, allowing the crew to resume their routine. He does not give orders. He does not announce his departure again. It has already been understood. The captain emerges from below deck and joins him at the stern. For a moment, they stand side by side without words. The sun finally breaks the horizon. Light spreads across the water in wide, luminous bands. The ship's sails glow faintly in the early warmth. The captain nods once, a simple gesture, acknowledgement. The older pirate nods back. Nothing more is needed. The harbor lies only a few hours ahead now, hidden beyond the gentle curve of the coast. The sea, which had felt infinite beneath the moon, now feels contained by morning clarity. He walks toward the center of the deck and rests his palm once more against the mast. He does not linger. He does not hesitate. He simply breathes in deeply, filling his lungs with salt air one last time. The wind is steady, the water calm, the sky clear. The ship moves forward beneath the growing sun, and as the morning fully arrives, bright and quiet, the older pirate stands calmly among his crew, no longer bound by the horizon, but grateful for every mile it once offered him. The harbor appears gradually. At first it is only a darker shape against the brightening coast. Then wooden docks become visible, small boats tied carefully in rows, a few rooftops catching early sunlight. The ship slows, the sails loosen, the ropes shift, the anchor is prepared. The crew moves with quiet efficiency, each man knowing his task without instruction. The older pirate stands near the gangplank. He does not rush forward. He waits. The ship settles into place beside the dock with a gentle thud of wood against wood. Ropes are thrown, knots secured. The journey for now has reached its end. He steps forward. The gangplank rests firmly between ship and shore. For a brief moment he looks back across the deck. The mast, the coiled ropes, the lantern now extinguished. The men who will sail again without him. Nothing has changed, and yet everything has. He steps onto the plank. The wood feels steady beneath his boots. Then carefully he steps down onto the dock. Solid ground. It does not sway, it does not rise and fall. It simply holds him. The sound of water against the harbor wall is softer here, less open, less endless. He inhales slowly. The air smells different. Wood, earth, distant cooking fires from early homes along the shore. Behind him the ship remains tied for now, but soon it will leave again. He does not watch it depart. He does not need to. The sea will continue without him. Storms will come and go. Sails will tear and be mended. New hands will grip the same railing he once held. The ocean does not remember individuals, but that does not make the years meaningless. He walks slowly along the dock, hat resting comfortably on his head. Each step is firm, each breath steady. The sound of gulls overhead replaces the rhythm of open waves. The morning sun rises higher, and somewhere behind him, ropes loosen once more. The ship will sail again. But the older pirate does not turn. He continues forward along the quiet harbor, carrying nothing but memory, and the calm understanding that some journeys end not in storm, but in stillness.